Well, the bus strike, this one anyway, is over. I'm joined now by the Minister, Mr. Cregeen, to look back on the proceedings. I should say we did try and get a union representative to talk. They talked to me off camera, but they didn't do anything on camera. And maybe the point that, from your interviews with me, the one thing they were very unhappy was that you were saying there was intimidation, and they said there wasn't any.
There is. I've had people phone me up. I've had bus drivers come to my house. I've been off to see them. There is a large amount of intimidation down there, and I think officers have had it as well. You know, they've had drivers coming up to them and saying, you know, we'd like to come back to work, but, you know.
Now, intimidation can take all sorts of forms. I mean, what, just a snub in the canteen or an actual threat?
Well, one driver actually said to me, there's a going around the office was, we'll break your legs and we'll break your pelvis. It was that serious. You'll never drive again. And what I said to them, you know, just tell me who it is and we will deal with it. But unfortunately, you know, they said, well, you know, we just don't know what they're going to do. So,
right. I mean, you did allude that the police were involved, but
the police have been involved in a couple of incidents.
But there's nothing live at the minute. Nothing.
There's nothing that we can comment on at the moment.
I understand. Okay. Well, I mean, they were out for the whole TT period effectively, but by the very end, obviously, you had procedures in place, but you failed to get that timetable up and running almost through the whole strike, didn't you?
Well, for the first part of the strike, we did have difficulties because there was a bit of a false start to it. So some people had arranged, who were going to come into work, had arranged to do other duties, go out on other jobs. So we did have a difficulty there. Then we had a number of people who went off sick, you know, and it was a bit of a hiccup at the start. I think near the end we had more people coming back in, we had more people driving, and especially with the minibuses that were able to go out as well. You know, I think over the latter end of the strike we were able to provide a reasonably good service.
And that minibus idea, which came near the end, as you said, volunteers was picking people up. There was no fares to pay.
No fares to pay.
What, I mean, did you get many people on those minibuses? Did it work?
I understand it was a good response to it. You know, it picked up all the bits and pieces around some of the estates that we didn't have the full service going to, but it was serving a need for those people who needed to get out and about.
Where do we go from here now? I mean, there's been no resolution to this problem whatsoever. So we assume there'll be more strike action. Have you heard anything yet from the union?
No, Mr. Holmes was away on holiday last week, and you know we haven't heard anything. I think some of the times, you know, it's down to the reps themselves, because Eric has recommended acceptance, and the reps have recommended acceptance on at least I think it's 4 occasions. So it makes it very difficult when people come forward and say, well, the department has to do something. Well, the union has recommended acceptance of an offer. You know, it's just that some of the drivers don't. And some of the drivers that I've spoken to said that on that ballot that they thought that they were going to come back to work, and then there was somebody corrupted it. But unfortunately, the drivers who spoke to me said that when they were handing out the ballot papers, they were seeing who had ticked to go back to accept the offer and who not to.
Okay, I mean, we've covered this all in the past, so I mean, that's done, dusted. But how can this go on? I mean, we'll be talking to you at Christmas and the dispute is still rumbling on, and there has to be a resolution somewhere.
There has to be, and you know, I understand, like I said to you earlier, that you know they were going to accept the offer on the Wednesday, and what I've asked is for that offer to be put back as a secret ballot instead of, you know, the reps seeing who was voting which way, as a truly secret ballot. Post it out to them, post it back, put the same offer back on the table.
So you've got an olive branch out there, have you, in some form? I mean,
yes. Well, what we've said is we're willing to put the offer back on the table that was there a few weeks ago.
And that's it. No more movement. No going to arbitration. Nothing else.
No.
Do you expect this to be resolved shortly?
From feedback from some of the drivers, they've said that they are quite happy with the terms and conditions.
Do you think this is going to be resolved?
I would hope so, yes. You can't prejudge these things because, you know, we all thought on that Wednesday that it was going to be settled, and it wasn't. Now, you know, it's been recommended by the union. There's not a lot else we can do.
Finally, I mean, everyone's back to work, but the sick issue, has that gone away? Was that just while the strike was on, or have you?
No, there's still people off with sick, on the sick, yes. I think we're down up to 15.
15 people on the sick,
Yeah.
At the minute. But I mean, they've got to get sick notes, so they must be sick, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
you're not think they're skiving or
The doctors have signed them off.
fine. So that's just is that an average 15 at a time to be off?
No, that was just 15 prior to the TT period. So we have the usual sickness, long-term sickness as well. So,
And I think it came up, did it, somewhere along the line? Overall, I mean, the sickness level's been high in your department for some time.
yes, probably public transport has one of the worst sickness records in government. So,
Can you give what? How much was?
it was in one period there was about 4,500 days sick in 2 years between 100 staff.
Sorry, that's 100 staff and how many days off? 4,000.
Over 4,500 in a 2-year period.
So you're working on that one because I know the Chief Minister's keen to get.
Oh yes, we're working on that. But part of these is procedures through the disciplinary procedure and capability that's been arranged through the department in the past has made it very difficult to deal with these swiftly.
And the end is in sight for that then, is it as well?
Well, we're having to have a look at the procedures in place because you do have people who are genuinely sick, so we're having to deal with it sensibly, and there are people who are genuinely sick.
Well, I put you, there'd be a lot on stress because it must cause massive stress for people if they want to work, others don't want to work, and they're meeting in the canteen, as I think you said in the last interview. There's always going to be a terrible atmosphere at the moment while this is going on. So, stress will be part of it.
Yeah, and some of the drivers said, it is that stress about if they came into work, going into the canteen with the same people there who are determined to stay out. And these people have mortgages and they've houses and all sorts of things to pay for, cars, and it is a stress for them. And we have tried to support all those drivers, when we can.